Cocktails and couture coming up in the Kashmir Mafia. That's after we go over to Eileen Whelan for the RTÉ News On Two.
Welcome to the RTÉ News On Two. The headlines tonight. Botched operation. Crumlin Hospital apologises after doctor removes a child's healthy kidney. Brian Cowan admits his authority has been diminished by the medical cards controversy. A major boost for Ireland's high-tech centre as Dublin gets hundreds of new jobs. And clothes controversy. The shopping spree for Sarah, which cost the Republicans $150,000. Hello there and thanks for joining us. Ivan will be along a bit later with all the day's sports news. And also tonight, the parents of Paul Quinn, beaten to death in County Armagh, say the wall of silence surrounding their son's murder is weakening. But first, the family of a child who had a healthy kidney removed by mistake at Our Lady's Hospital for Children in Crumlin said they had raised concerns about their child's surgery on a number of occasions up to the operation. The family said their concerns had not been addressed. A report found that the child had a perfectly healthy kidney removed because of a litany of errors.
This tragic mistake happened last April when a child whose right kidney was failing and needed to be removed was admitted to Our Lady's Children's Hospital in Crumlin in Dublin for surgery. A consultant surgeon wrongly listed the case for left kidney removal. The senior doctor who performed the operation was given the case at short notice, had never done it unsupervised before and had not previously seen the patient. The 16-page independent report by Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital in London says 10 factors contributed to the mistake, including no policy for marking the site for surgery, long hours worked by doctors, and no team meeting in advance to discuss a major procedure. The child's family raised concerns on several occasions with nurses about the kidney the surgeon planned to remove. Despite these alarm bells ringing, right up to the moment the child was transferred to theatre, the operation went ahead. Today's report fails to explain why this happened. The report acknowledges that doctors made prompt and correct efforts to rectify the mistake, but these were unsuccessful.
I'm afraid it's a quite damaging report to the hospital. It appears, the overview I have is really that this was an accident waiting to happen. There seem to be a lot of things not in place that should have been in place.
Crumlin has apologised to the family and has accepted all of the recommendations in this report. The parents have asked that their privacy be respected and their child continues to be treated at Crumlin. Fergal Bowers, RTÉ News at Crumlin Children's Hospital in Dublin.
Hospital campaigners have described as devastating the news that Monaghan Hospital will effectively close as a frontline facility. Around 130 staff, including medical and administration personnel, will now be redeployed around the northeast. All acute services are to end, with patients being brought to Cavan Hospital. Some day services will continue. The Taoiseach Brian Cowan has admitted that the medical card controversy has affected his authority. However, he said he hoped the solution put together over the weekend would meet with broader acceptance. He was speaking in China, where he's leading an Irish trade delegation and attending a summit of EU and Asian leaders.
After yesterday's dramatic scenes outside Leinster House, the big political question is how the standing of the government and the Taoiseach have been affected. A question being considered today from a distance by Brian Cowan, who's in China on an official visit.
One's authority, whilst it's not as high, if he didn't have the problem, it does mean that people will say, well, he used his authority to come up with a solution in double quick time that met with broader public acceptance.
Medical cards still making waves in the Dáil today. Questions raised about the written assurance given yesterday to independent TD Michael Lowry that the new thresholds for the over 70s would be reviewed annually to take cost of living increases into account.
Will the Taoiseach confirm to the House that the income thresholds under the medical card scheme that you wish to change and remove from the elderly will be index linked and will not be reduced? A simple yes or no.
For those over 70 years of age, that it will be reviewed annually to take cost of living increases into account over the lifetime of this government.
But the opposition pointed out a review isn't the same as a promise to increase the thresholds.
This phrase that the Minister, or the Taoiseach used, that the means test limits will be reviewed. No, that's not indexation. If somebody voted here last night on the belief that they had got indexation, they were sadly misled.
And more controversy looming, with primary school managers saying some of the budget's education cuts are immoral and deeply offensive.
If our government is taking short-sighted measures which are actually going to increase the cost of the taxpayer and reduce our revenue generating abilities into the future.
Ominously for the government, independent TD Jackie Healy-Rae today issued a statement saying he wasn't satisfied with the impact of budget changes on education. He's to meet the Minister next week to voice his concerns. As well as bruising the government's standing, the medical card controversy has also costed the support of 2 TDs, which gives the remaining 2 independents extra leverage. Expect to hear a lot more from Jackie Healy-Rae and Michael Lowry in the months ahead. David McCullough, RTÉ News, Leinster House.
And more than 1,500 farmers attended the first of a series of protests organised by the IFA this evening to protest at budget cuts, which it says will have an extremely damaging impact on farming. The IFA said 60,000 farmers face income cuts of up to 10%. Speaking at the launch of the campaign in Claremorris in County Mayo, IFA President Pádraig Walsh warned that there would be a return to emigration unless the cutbacks were reversed. And family members of soldiers serving in Longford have accused the government of walking on the people in the area over the closure of the local barracks. Soldiers' families demonstrated against the closure today. The Chief of Staff listened to their concerns of troops and their relatives, but said the closure would have to go ahead. Now, 400 jobs are to be created by the computer gaming company Goa. The Dublin-based company is the online games division of the international telecommunications company Orange.
She's called the Witch Hunter, and she may be a scary-looking fantasy figure from the gaming world, but the characters from the online gaming company Goa are providing a glimmer of hope in a very real and dark economic world. Goa's deal with Mythic Entertainment saw the production of the game Warhammer: The Age of Reckoning and the creation of hundreds of jobs. The company, which is owned by France Telecom, now plan to use their Dublin office as its customer support base, providing multilingual support to European countries.
And we do all our real-time customer support here out of Ireland. So today we're in a very happy position of being able to announce approximately 400 jobs to be created and be completed by the end of 2009. And this isn't sod turning, these are real jobs. We have 200 of them on board today. Online gaming is one of the fastest growing industries in the world, now worth $42 billion. To put the gaming industry in context, a few years ago it overtook the takings from cinema box offices, and more recently it's overtaken revenue from the music world. The IDA-backed investment is a significant boost for Ireland's high-tech sector. With the current state of the property and construction industry, this is very welcome news for the government. Edel McAllister, RTÉ News, Dublin.
Now, if you fancy a career in music, industry bosses say they know the key to success: business. The future of the music industry and how to succeed with new digital technologies was the subject of a seminar at UCD tonight. During the event, bosses from Universal outlined a business roadmap to the artists, music industry professionals and entrepreneurs of tomorrow.
From Metallica to Miley Cyrus to the Blizzards, Universal is the world's biggest music company, responsible for 1 in 3 CD sales.
Of course, the music industry has changed dramatically in the last number of years. The CD is still king when it comes to album sales. When we're talking about singles, it's virtually obsolete, having been replaced by the download.
I think after a really tough time, we're kind of learning to go with it a bit more. There was a really big learning curve there, I think, at the start. I don't think people knew what to do when the likes of illegal downloads started happening.
But illegal downloads continue to be the thorn in the side of the music industry. In Ireland, it's been blamed for the 30% slump in sales seen here since 2001.
We have to change our tactics. We have to find devices that will identify illegal file sharers. We have to stop them.
And it was the business of operating a music company in today's challenging and changing environment that was the topic of tonight's discussion in UCD with second-level students. It's the third in a series of talks given by companies L'Oreal, Microsoft and now Universal, aimed at encouraging students to study business.
I just came along just because I was interested in music and things like that, so now I have a much better perspective of the business industry.
It's a bit harder than you think it'd be. Like, they don't give you like the fairy tale kind of approach. They show you what it's like. They tell you it's like it is a business after all.
And one student will get an earlier chance than most to see if working in this business is for him. Music enthusiast David Gillick won a one-day internship with Universal. Laura Fletcher, RTÉ News.
Gardaí in County Kerry have been dealing with major flooding this evening in Killarney and Kenmare. Some drivers made it out of the deep waters that submerged most of the square in Kenmare this evening, but some were not so lucky after heavy flooding that began at the nearby Finaghy River. The whole country has been hit by gale force winds and heavy rain following earlier warnings from Met Éireann that winds could reach storm force 10 at times. Police investigating the death of a man in County Armagh have begun a murder inquiry. It follows a post-mortem examination which was carried out on the victim's body this afternoon. 45-year-old Victor Stewart, a dairy farmer who lived near Middletown, was found dead at his home on Creve Kieran Road yesterday. The parents of Paul Quinn, who was beaten to death by a gang of men in County Armagh a year ago, say the wall of silence surrounding their son's murder is weakening. They and others campaigning to find those responsible have been meeting with TDs and the Garda Commissioner to discuss the investigation.
Just a few days after the first anniversary of their son's murder, Stephen and Breege Quinn remain resilient. Although no one's been charged, they're confident that with the support of their community, there will be more arrests.
There'll be a wall of silence, but it just could be a wee bit of a thing, you know, coming now that the people's not just as afraid as they were before. They'll be starting to get a wee bit stronger themselves.
Paul Quinn from Cullyhanna in County Armagh was 21 when he was murdered. Paramilitary monitors say that IRA men acting without authorisation were among the gang who lured him to this shed in County Monaghan and bet him so badly he died. Sinn Féin denies Republican involvement.
Paul Quinn was attacked not just physically and murdered, but he was attacked and the character assassinated. The campaign of the support group was attacked, and the Garda investigation has been attacked and denigrated.
There was no meeting between Paul's parents and Sinn Féin TDs. They've condemned his murder, but the Quinns want Sinn Féin to lend more support to pursue his killers. Later, they met with the Garda Commissioner to discuss the investigation, which they're confident is gathering pace.
Every time there is an arrest, it gives confidence to other people who might be afraid to come forward with new information, and it keeps the investigation very much alive.
The Quinns said they were here today to thank TDs and the Gardaí for their support in the years since Paul died. But they say what they need is for Sinn Féin representatives to take a more active role to help break that wall of silence and bring Paul's killers to justice. Ty Genwright, RTÉ News, Leinster House.
Now, whoever said politics isn't a glamorous business obviously didn't have Sarah Palin's wardrobe allowance for the US election campaign. It's emerged that the Republicans have spent more than €116,000, or twice the current US industrial wage, on the vice presidential candidate's image since she was chosen less than 2 months ago.
Imagine having an average of $2,000 a day to spend on your hair, makeup and wardrobe. Well, that's what Sarah Palin has been doing since becoming the first woman to be picked to serve on a Republican ticket. The financial records of the Republican campaign show more than $150,000 has been spent on Palin's image since her vice presidency was announced at the end of August. So has it been cost effective?
The clothes bought have been classic, they've been colourful, they've been interesting to the cameras. And at the end of the day, they're all going to go to charity. So to that extent, they were good purchases.
Sarah Palin isn't the first political candidate whose spending on her image has come under the microscope. Democratic Senator Hillary Clinton's expensive trouser suits raised some eyebrows in the past, while former presidential candidate John Edwards was criticised for paying more than $400 on a haircut. But it now seems that Sarah Palin's comments of the heels are on and the gloves are off could be more firmly based in reality than was previously thought. Kate Egan, RTÉ News.
You're with the RTÉ News On Two. Still ahead, the supersonic car aiming to break the land speed record. But first, all the sports news now. Here's Ivan.
Thanks, Eileen. The group stages of the UEFA Cup got underway across Europe tonight. There were 3 British clubs involved, including a struggling Tottenham Hotspur side whose dismal run of late transcended the domestic league, losing 2-0 to the Italian outfit Udinese. It was an eventful night for Juan de Ramos and Spurs, and although memorable, it's a game the struggling Premier League side will want to forget. There were a couple of chances in the early stages, but nothing to justify the upper hand away from home in Europe. Udinese then took the lead after 24 minutes, when in his efforts to clear a dangerous back pass, Spurs keeper Aurelio Gomez fouled Fabio Quagliarella. No stranger to the spot, Antonio Di Natale was clinical with the resulting penalty. The Londoners' problems were compounded in the second half when Jamie O'Hara was sent off following 2 bookings inside a minute. Down to 10 men and with more than a half an hour left to play, Spurs did well to hold their hosts. Darren Bent almost made it 1-1 with 5 minutes to go. But the game was gone from Spurs a minute later. Simone Pepe sealed the win. Udinese 2, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Now a better night for Aston Villa, who beat Ajax Amsterdam by 2-1 to go joint top of Group F. Gareth Barry with the winner there. And Portsmouth have yet to pick up points on their campaign. They lost 3-0 to Braga of Portugal. Moving to Gaelic Games, a number of unresolved matters relating to the appointment of senior inter-county managers will dominate the headlines tomorrow. Donegal All-Ireland winner Declan Bonner has tonight branded the controversial managerial selection process to replace Brian McIver as fatally flawed. He and Charlie Mulgrew had been offered the position earlier this week and were expected to be ratified at a county board meeting last night, but the original choice, John Joe Doherty, is now the favourite once again following that meeting. A statement from the senior panel is expected within the next 24 hours. Meanwhile, in Cork, the apparent disagreement over the reappointment of hurling boss Gerald McCarthy continues. Senior players John Gardner and Donalo Cusack were included on the 7-man subcommittee charged with choosing the county's next hurling manager. However, it's understood both abstained when McCarthy's name came before that committee this week. Delegates voted by 88 votes to 6 to ratify his appointment, but in recent days a number of players approached the St Finbarr's man requesting he not allow his name go forward, a request McCarthy in turn refused. There is increasing speculation that a number of senior players may now step down from the panel. Now, Ireland international rules manager Sean Boylan will name his team overnight tonight ahead of tomorrow morning's first test with Australia in Perth. Boylan's counterpart, Mick Malthouse, however, did show his hand today.
For an international rules series potentially on its last legs, this man has proved a tonic. Mick Malthouse is the Australian coach and appears, for now at least, a man mindful of his responsibilities.
We're the host. We've got guests coming to our country. We want our guests to be treated as guests, and when they leave the country, understand that we've given 2 good games of football, fair games of football, and we want to be able to be guests next year.
But as Aussie captain Brent Harvey pointed out today, that hospitality has a best before date, which expires tomorrow morning.
We'll be very competitive. Every single person that's out there today has spoken about how competitive and how hard it's going to be, and we'll be hard and ferocious at the footy.
Both managers played down the amateur versus professional angle to the series, with Malthouse apparently enamoured with more than just Sean Kavanagh's football skills.
If Sean stood up, ripped his top off, he'd be just as cut as our best player at 1 minute. I might change that a little bit because he is in the process of trying to, to marry his beau. But
I wish I'd never said it.
We're not going to be going around clapping ourselves in the back saying, well, we beat a professional outfit. It's not going to be like that at all. And likewise, if they beat us, we're not going to say, well, they're professional, we're not. In other words, there will be no excuses.
Well, as the finishing touches have been put to the Subiaco Oval for tomorrow's first test, Ireland have delayed naming their team. That's because Sean Boylan wants to give the 6 players who flew in late an extra chance to acclimatise. Jonathan Mullen, RTÉ News, Perth.
And a reminder that tomorrow's first test will be live on RTÉ2 from 11:10 tomorrow morning. Now, staying briefly with Gaelic Games, there's one result to bring you tonight. The Dublin County final between Oliver Plunkett's and Kilmacud Crokes finished in a draw at Parnell Park. 10 to 13 points. That game will be replayed next Monday evening, and the winners will play either Sarsfields or Selbridge of Kildare in the first round of the Leinster Club Championship on the 2nd of November. Finally, 5-time major winner Sevi Ballesteros will undergo a 3rd operation tomorrow to ease the swelling on his brain, although hospital authorities insist he remains in a stable condition. The 51-year-old has already had 2 operations since he was diagnosed with a tumour earlier this month. Please God, he'll be okay. That's the sport for now. Back to you, Eileen.
Thanks very much, Yvonne. Now, a team of engineers in Britain have unveiled plans for a supersonic car that could reach a speed of 1,600 kilometres an hour. They're hoping the Bloodhound, as it's known, will break the world land speed record and encourage young recruits into the field of engineering.
Travelling at 1,200 kilometres an hour, the Thrust supersonic car breaking the world land speed record. And for the first time, the sound barrier
was 1.007.
That was in 1997, but now the same team wants to go even faster. This is the Bloodhound, a jet and rocket-powered vehicle that will go from 0 to 100 kilometres an hour in 1 second. The concept has been a year and a half in the making.
We're dealing with a car which has got some 50,000 pounds of thrust. The bodywork is going to have to stand loads of the order of 12 tonnes per square metre. The wheels have got to go round at over 10,000 RPM. This is the absolute ultimate engineering project.
This is a model of what the car might look like. The makers intend posting progress updates on YouTube and Bebo so that youngsters in particular can follow the car's journey to completion.
This is worth taking a bit of risk for because it's a huge challenge and a huge prize at the end of it. Not just the biggest record, but to inspire the next generation of engineers to share it with every school child in the country.
Quicker than a fighter jet, Andy Green hopes to get behind the wheel of the Bloodhound in 2011 and hit a speed of 1,000 miles per hour. Sharon Tobin, RTÉ News.
Finally tonight, Galway's veteran band, the Saw Doctors, have spent the week at #1 in the Irish charts after a gap of 17 years. Their comeback follows the release of a charity single, which has raised €10,000 for the Cystic Fibrosis Fund at Salerno Secondary School in Salt Hill. And that's Thursday's News on 2. Until next time, from everyone on the programme, good night and take care.
The most active families need the most nutritious milk.
Hello and welcome. Now, tomorrow's weather promises to be a big